Recently, Games Workshop has done some things that might be sparking a little bit of hope in my cold, cynical gamer's heart.
Hey there, Philip here from Manning the Fort. I actually originally shot this video direct to camera, but I realized that my recent visit from Papa Nurgle left me looking a little worse for wear, so audio only it is. If you are a regular viewer of the channel, you've probably noticed that I haven't been making much in the way of Games Workshop videos recently. Things like Marvel Crisis Protocol and a number of indie games have captured my attention. That's not to say I've bought a one way ticket on the GW hate train. I still consider myself a fan, especially of things like Kill Team, and I'm interested in the new edition of Warcry. It's just that the way they've handled their games and their fan base recently has kind of irked me. Let's just say I'm glad I've largely left full on Warhammer 40k behind because it has been a mess for a while. But even my beloved Kill Team has started to fall victim to things like book bloat and the team rules locked behind White Dwarf paywalls that could just as easily have been free PDFs to keep the community excited about the game. That's to say nothing of the blatant encouragement of meta chasing for which GW is now infamous. All that said, some recent developments have me cautiously optimistic, and I'd like to talk about them. Let's start with the most unambiguously good thing, TM, that Games Workshop has done for the Kill Team community recently. Not long ago, they dropped a free light version of the rules and free rules for a new Kill Team. The light rules are what they are. For people who don't own the core book, I don't know how useful they'll really be, but for those of us who do, it seems like it would make for a nice quick reference guide. That's not the big one, though. What actually made this release for me is the new rules for the Intercession Squad. With one simple, and again, free release, Games Workshop accomplished a couple of very good things. First, they gave a badly needed upgrade to intercessors and assault intercessors. Basically, from day one, we've been asking why we can't mix and match them, and the answer has been a resounding shrug. Now we're one step closer to making that $55 book they made us buy at the start of the edition to play with our existing armies completely obsolete. Oh wait, I should cut that. In addition, they finally demonstrated that they are capable of putting out rules that update a compendium team without making us track down a specific issue of White Dwarf. I was watching a video from Glass Half Dead the other day, and Andy was saying that he actually went to the trouble of subscribing to White Dwarf specifically to get the Hunter Clade Kill Team rules and future Kill Team rules that came out as well, but he signed up 3 days late, and so to this day does not own a hard copy of the Hunter Clade rules. He does what the rest of us do and go to Wahapedia. And I know people use things like Wahapedia and Battle Scribe, so you may not know this, but a single issue of White Dwarf retails for $11 American. If you only care about the Kill Team rules, that's pretty steep for 4 pages in a horrifically outdated physical print medium. By getting away from all that and giving away a free PDF, even just once, I'm hoping GW can get the message that this is how you can build community goodwill. Am I confident they'll do that? Not especially, but it's enough for cautious optimism. Next, let's talk about Into the Dark. Once again, this box hits multiple things that were personal pain points for me with Kill Team. First, it's bringing back close quarters combat. Not for nothing, but making the last set of Kill Team 2018 a box that leaned heavily on that edition's arena rules and on iterating them, only to apparently forget they existed for a year, was a little annoying. The idea of fighting corridor to corridor through a Space Hulk is very reminiscent of the game's roots and things like Space Hulk. Also, this box gives us 2 teams full of new sculpts. The last box to do that was Octarius, the first one. I made a video about how I was going to buy Nachmund despite the Legionaries just having an upgrade sprue, and I did end up doing that. I really liked what was on that sprue, and I needed more Chaos Marines, but I haven't even considered Morok, despite the awesome-looking terrain. A couple of the cultists might be new sculpts, or at least new bits, but everything else came from Blackstone Fortress and one of its expansions, which I already own. And infiltrators and incursors? Eh. Now, though, Imperial Navy troopers in steampunky armor and less dorky-looking Kroot? I'm genuinely tempted by this one. Now, let's move on to the 2022 Kill Team Annual, the thing that some of you may have already been furiously typing about in the comments when I complained about White Dwarf. I do like the idea of compiling all the teams in a book at the end of the year, and I agree that it does get around some of the headaches of lugging around a stack of magazines like a teenager sneaking to his dad's woodshed in the 90s. For me, though, the real ray of hope comes from something else that fans of Kill Team 2018 have been wanting for more than a year: the Elucidian Starstriders and the Geller Pox Infected. Those are some incredibly cool and now long out of print minis, and they were Kill Team's first foray into fully bespoke rules and sculpts. And the minis are coming back too. No more spending over $100 on eBay for just one of the teams. These teams are a major part of Kill Team history, with some amazing sculpts, including the Emperor's Goodest Boy, and I'm glad they're finally coming back. All in all, there is some stuff to genuinely get excited about here. But, and I imagine y'all knew there was going to be a but, these steps need to be just the beginning if GW's skirmish games are going to keep up in the modern tabletop landscape. 40K has enough inertia behind it that it can afford to cause a lot more headaches than a side property like Kill Team. Ask full 40K players how they feel about the state of the game on the whole, and I bet the money in my pockets against the money in your pockets that the majority aren't happy. They keep playing because it's the 900-pound gorilla of a game that all their friends play. I know that described my attitude for a long time. There are lots of good skirmish rule sets out there for little or no cost, and resin 3D printing has simultaneously increased in quality and accessibility in the last couple of years. In fact, I recently made a video about why I finally decided to get a 3D printer after years of hesitation. You can find that link in the description. So, what are some of the things that temper my optimism? For starters, the era of $50-ish books has to at least be coming to a middle for sustainability, especially at a rate of 5 or more books a year. It's one thing when we're talking about hardcover codexes in 40K packed to the gills with stunning full-color artwork, but I doubt anyone fools themselves into believing that the campaign books for Kill Team are of equal quality. Now, on the topic of the annual, while there is a lot of awesome stuff in there, if you are one of those people who bought the White Dwarf with your favorite team in it, guess what? Those rules won't be current anymore. Is that a deal breaker? Nah. But is it something that could easily be handled in, say, a free PDF update in addition to being added to the annual? Absolutely. And who knows? Maybe they'll do that. We'll just have to see. I don't know if y'all have looked around lately, but signs aren't great for the economy at the moment, especially if you had to fill up a gas tank in the last 6 months. And it behooves GW to act accordingly as opposed to, say, I don't know, jacking up prices in the middle of a pandemic during an already record profit year. Maybe they're genuinely turning over a new, more consumer-friendly leaf. We can certainly hope so. I'll grant it's a tricky line to walk, because frequent updates can be a genuinely good thing for these games. They keep them fresh and put new models in front of us. But if we again take a lesson from 40K, it is possible to go too fast, especially if players are shelling out quarter after quarter for those updates. I'm sorry for throwing that downer in there. I do really see reasons for optimism right now, but I also think it's important to have realistic expectations. Now, if you want to see some of those other games I mentioned earlier, you can take a look at the video on screen now. Also, I started a Patreon. The first members to sign up will get discounted rates for their donations, and they'll get to see videos early, show up in the credits, and help influence the direction of the channel. I'd like to thank my very first patron, Bob Manius, also known as Marshall Laroth of the Implausible Nature channel. Thank you, Bob, for taking a chance on me. Until next time, everyone, keep hope alive, and thanks for watching.